Hey everyone, it's your boy, and today we're diving deep into the digital graveyard of failed games to exhume the corpse of. Remember this one? It was the Warner Brothers smash-alike that had everyone from Batman to Bugs Bunny throwing hands. When it launched back in 2022, it was an absolute phenomenon, racking up millions of downloads in its first few weeks. People were hyped. I was hyped. But then, the hype died. So what happened? How did a game with so much potential, a game featuring an IP as massive and beloved as Freakin', go so wrong so quickly? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out. We're strapping on our lab coats, grabbing our magnifying glasses, and hitting the dusty servers of this once promising title. Today we're asking the question, why what went wrong? The problem wasn't just that it was good, it was that it was good, early. The initial launch was phenomenal. Over 20 million players in weeks. But hype is a double-edged sword. The higher the expectations climb, the further they have to fall. And fall they did. One of the first major red flags was the lack of content. With a roster of iconic characters, the potential for new fighters, stages, and modes should be endless. But instead, updates just stopped. The core gameplay loop, modes, and maps remained largely unchanged. And that gets old, fast. Other games in the genre kept innovating, adding new content to keep players engaged. Even if the content drought wasn't enough to drive players away, the balance issues definitely finished the job. Balancing a fighting game with a roster as diverse as is no easy feat. But there's a difference between a challenging learning curve and just plain broken, and had more than its fair share of broken characters. We all remember the Harley Quinn meta, right? Back when she was basically untouchable, dominating matches with her insane range and damage output. And it wasn't just Harley. We had Finn's hitboxes being the size of Texas, Shaggy's infinite combos, and Bugs Bunny being a bit good. These balance issues created a frustrating and unfair playing experience. Casual players felt cheated, competitive players rage quit in droves, and the developers seemed completely unequipped to handle the problem. While the lack of content and balancing issues were major blows too, the final nail in the coffin might have been the monetization. Free-to-play games can be fantastic. When done right, they provide a fair and rewarding experience for everyone. But when done wrong, they can feel predatory and greedy. The game was drowning in microtransactions with overpriced skins and cosmetics. Cosmetic items cost more than entire AAA games. Who is paying $20 for a LeBron James skin? And don't even get me started on the grind. Unlocking characters was an exercise in frustration. This created a massive rift in the player base. Even with all these problems, might have still had a fighting chance if it wasn't for one major obstacle competition. Specifically the 800-pound gorilla in the room known as. The platform fighter genre is a tough nut to crack. It's a niche market, and has had a stranglehold on it for years. They've got the roster, the legacy, and Nintendo's marketing muscle behind them. Going up against that behemoth was always going to be an uphill battle, but didn't even seem to try. Beyond its unique IP and free-to-play model, it didn't offer anything truly innovative or groundbreaking. The gameplay was solid, but it felt derivative, like a pale imitation of the game it was trying so desperately to emulate. Needed a unique selling point, a reason for players to choose it over the established king of the genre. And sadly, it just didn't. If there's one thing that's guaranteed to kill a game faster than a Taz spin attack, it's poor communication. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened with Multiversus. In November 2022, Player First Games announced an extended offline beta. The announcement came out of nowhere with little warning or explanation. Players were left in the dark, confused and frustrated. Communication was sporadic and updates were vague. Developers seemed out of touch, ignoring feedback and concerns. By the time it returned, the damage was done. By the time eventually staggered back online, the damage was already done. The hype had evaporated, the player base had moved on, and the game was a shell of its former self. Matchmaking times were abysmal, lobbies were ghost towns, and even the most dedicated players struggled to find a reason to log in. It was a sad end for a game that had so much potential. A cautionary tale of overhype, mismanagement, and missed opportunities. Had all the ingredients for success, a beloved IP, a solid gameplay foundation, and a passionate community. But somewhere along the way, it lost its way, stumbling over its own ambition, and ultimately falling victim to its own shortcomings. So, what can we learn from the tragic tale of? Hype is a fickle mistress. A strong launch is important, but it's the long game that matters. Consistent content updates, a clear vision, and most importantly, open and honest communication with the player base are all essential for long-term success. So where does that leave Multiversus now? Is there any hope for a revival, or is it game over for good? The game is technically still alive, but without a major overhaul, it's destined to fade into obscurity. It had a lot of potential, but overhype, poor updates, and monetization missteps led to its downfall. What do you think? Could it make a comeback, or is it game over for good? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more gaming content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.